Welcome to the Milsurf Mike channel. My French 1935 pistol video partially covered a period of time where they were produced under German occupation. This video will talk about the reverse of that, featuring my French occupation P-38 Walther. Now I do have a French occupation K98K, which I talked about what to look for in a previous video, so please check that out. I'll leave a link to the card of that above. So let's get to the P-38. On April 20th, 1945, the French took possession of the Mauser factory in Oberndorf. After the German surrender, the factory was located in the French occupation zone. Between the fact the French factories are rode hard and put up wet by the Germans, and the French wanted to produce some of their own arms since they're being supplied by the British and American allies, they put the Mauser factory back into production to get as many serviceable arms out of it as they could. Since by the end of the war, Mauserwerk lacked many of the trained workers and material, there was no attempt to produce arms from scratch. Now, they put together rifles and pistols and parts that were in various stages of completion, and they found out that there was a lot of those laying around. So many of the parts that were already made were inspected and had Waffenamps on them in German codes. Parts that weren't previously inspected would be assembled and finished without an inspector's mark or have the French 5-pointed star added to it. While there were some HSC pistols and a few Lugers produced under French occupation, the most numerous produced were the P-38. Now I did a full video on the P-38 pistol itself, and that dropped on April 7th, 2019, and I'll put a link to the card up above on that as well. I'll probably do a more in-depth video on that and my other German arms, as I keep having in my mind that I'm going to do a great big German series here sometime in the future. Now, I want to discuss mainly, though, the ones that were made under French occupation, since it was estimated that there were about 51,000 of these made. Most of these would end up in Indochina and Algeria, although some would be made for the gendarmerie. Some would be purchased by Austria and go through their maintenance system to be issued to the Bundesheer, which is the Austrian police force. And I'll delve into that pistol in just a little bit. The Germans had Mauser switch their code from BYF to SVW sometime in late 1944, and they'd made it to the high 2000s of the F block on the P-38s of SVW 45 before manufacture ceased. While it's possible for French P-38s to have a various number of codes, such as the AC or BYF code, since they're put together from parts, the vast majority will have the SVW code on them. Now, they would finish out the F block of the SVW 45, continue with the G, H, I, and K, skipping J, and then the switch from SVW 45 to SVW 46 would happen sometime during the K block, and they would finish that out and make around 500 in the L block before Russian protests forced the French to leave the factory. The French would take a lot of the machinery with them, and they blew up some of the buildings of the Mauser complex. Now, there can be a mix and match of finishes on these pistols. In general, the French occupation P-38s are finished with a gray parkerization. Another sign that from a long way off that these were French occupation pistols are the stamped metal grips, and they're gray. So the gray metal grips, along with the parkerization, sometimes give the pistols the Gray Ghost moniker from collectors. Now you might see my pistol from pictures and say, hey, you have a nice, beautiful blued finish on yours. Was yours redone? Well, let me get to that here right now. All right, let's take a little closer look at my French occupation P-38. Now, I think I showed this off when I obtained this last year, but this video is a little more in-depth into it. So let's just take a little look at it. Now, these are called Gray Ghost by some collectors because of the stamped metal grips. The French put the stamped metal grips on it basically because the subcontractor who produced the plastic grips under the Germans either couldn't be found after the war or they stopped making them. So the French needed a solution, and they just did the stamped metal grips. There's also, in general, well, not all of them, because a lot of them are mix and match, but many of the French occupation guns have a gray parkerized finish on the on the slide and frame, barrel, and everything. This is not the case on mine. You'll be like, Mike, yours is nice and blued. Why is that? Well, I mentioned in the history part of this, the Austrians bought some of these in the mid-50s, and after going through a kind of a maintenance and refurbishment program, deemed in the model 1957, and issued them to the Bundesheer, which is their police service. So that can be seen by the BH there with next to a an eagle there. So anyway, now that we established that this is an Austrian police pistol, let's go back to the French production here a little bit. See the SVW-45, and you can see that we're kind of early on in the G block. So if you figure that the French started around 3,000 in the F block, to finish out the F block, you had to hit about 7,000 more, and each block had 10,000 pistols in it. So this is in the first 9 to 10,000 pistols put together under the French occupation. On the other side of the pistol, you can see the 5-pointed French star proof mark right next to a Waffenauge. So this definitely could have come from, well, it all came from the stores there, but that might have already been a German-proofed slide. So anyway, let's take it down a little bit. Now, hopefully CloverTac is correct in when he said that YouTube's going to be a little more lean about taking pistols down for like maintenance and historical purposes. So that's all I'm doing here, Mr. Algorithm. So let's just take this slide off here, because I wanted to show you a couple things on the inside. Now, it's all nice and matching on the outside here. There is a piece in here that isn't matching, but that's pretty common with these. But if it focuses, you can see the French star proof mark there. You can also see another one there. But, so, this didn't match the rest of the pistol, but you definitely tell that the serial number matches the rest of the pistol there. Now, one thing I did mention in the historical part was that not all these went to military purposes. Some of them went to the gendarmerie, and those will have I believe it said it had a BW with BW or a flaming bomb on the slide or barrel. So, that's something else to keep an eye out for. So anyway, that's just a quick look at my pistol. Let's get back to finishing out this video. The arms produced in the Mauser factory, along with getting their own factories up and running, would help stem the tide until the French were able to standardize more on their rifles and pistols. And they'll finally standardize on a new pistol in 1950. If you follow my Instagram, you'll have seen that I obtained one of these pistols, which aren't easy to get in the United States, and I'll hopefully have a video up on that at some point. Please be aware of where your elected officials and the groups that claim to represent you stand on the Second Amendment. Please join the GOA or the FPC and get $5 off your GOA membership with the link in my description. If you like my content, please like, share, comment, subscribe. Interaction really helps out the YouTube's algorithms. Also, please check out my Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Parler, and Patreon. Thank you for watching, and as always, have a great day.